All right, you guys, we are going to start chapter 17 and do 17 and 18 today. We are starting a new day. Today is Wednesday, and the lunch menu for today is chili. If you'll remember from early in the story, Joe follows that sequence of the lunch menu, and he says that it's always Tuesday, hamburgers, then Wednesday, chili, because they break up the hamburgers and mix it in a pot, and it turns into chili. All right, so Wednesday chili, chapter 17, Ravi. When Amma comes in to wake me, she has red chiles and salt in her hands. Sit still, Ravi, she says. I'm going to take away the Khan Drishti, the curse of the evil eye. Even though I haven't said a word to her about how badly things have been going for me at Albert Einstein Elementary School, somehow my mother has figured it out. The Khan Drishti is what's causing your problems, Raja. I'm sure of it, she tells me. I tried to hide my feelings yesterday when I returned home from school. Amma and Parima picked me up at the bus stop, bombarding me with a million questions as usual. Did you show your Vedic math? Was Mrs. Beam impressed? Did she comment how nice your notebooks look? Did you enjoy your vegetable biryani? Leave me alone, I begged them. That was my mistake. For the rest of the afternoon, Amma and Parima chased me around the house, offering me food and drink, hoping to pry some information out of me. What's wrong, Ravi? Amma kept asking. Has something happened? Parima even threatened to email Mrs. Beam if I didn't tell her what was bothering me. There was no way I could tell them that I had been laughed at, disrespected, tripped, ridiculed, and forced to eat my lunch in the resource room with the very person who had tripped me. Amma would have been heartbroken. So I faked a stomachache and went to bed early. Amma clutches the salt and chiles tight with both her palms and slowly circles them around me 3 times clockwise, then runs downstairs and throws the potion on a hot skillet. There was a loud crackling sound, and the smell of burnt chiles fills the air. I knew it, I hear Parima cry. See how they crackle? Ay-yo! Didn't I tell you things would be difficult for us in America? People are jealous. That's what it is. Jealous of our Ravi and his superior intelligence. If only she knew what they really thought of me at school. I get dressed and go downstairs where Amma has made 2 soft idlis for my breakfast. Wait, first take this, says Parima, shoving a spoonful of pink medicine into my mouth. It tastes horrible, but is my own fault for having faked a stomachache. Everything's going to be okay, Ravi, Amma says. I baked some naan khatis, my favorite cookies. The flavor is off, sniffs Parima, tasting a crumb and wrinkling her nose. You put in too much rose water, Roshni. Amma sighs. I can tell she's biting her tongue. You'll see, Ravi, she says as she carefully places the last crumbly round cookie in the box. Mrs. Beam will be impressed. The naan khatis are for Mrs. Beam? I ask, surprised. I know just how to win teachers over, Amma says confidently. Offer the cookies to her first thing this morning. You'll see how things improve after that. Appa comes in carrying his briefcase. Listen to your Amma, he tells me. Remember, she has the black tongue. Amma has a birthmark on her tongue. In India, a black spot on the tongue means you have magical powers. This may sound like a silly superstition, but believe me, when Amma says something is going to happen, it always does. It's 6:58. The bus will be arriving in 2 minutes. Amma puts on her favorite blue sweater, picks up her sari pleats, hoists them just above her ankles, and tucks them in at her waist. Slipping her bare feet into a pair of rubber sandals, she rushes towards the door, but Appa stops her. Let him go by himself, Roshni, he says. He's 10 years old. Parima is sitting on the sofa, dipping his biscuit in his morning tea. Parima hands me my tiffin box and my jacket. Don't forget to tell Mrs. Beam the naan khatis are homemade, my mother calls after me. And remember to eat your lunch. I made a nice curry with okra and chickpeas, raita, and a flask of buttermilk too. Good for your digestion. 2 boys from my class are sitting in the front row of seats on the bus. One of them is Keith Campbell and the other is named Tim or Jim. I'm not sure which. They nod to me and I nod back. I wish that Dylan Samreen rode on my bus. Premad and I used to ride together and crack jokes the whole way to school. I find a seat near the back of the bus and sit down, carefully balancing the box of cookies on my lap. All the way to school, I stare out the window, wondering if my mother can be right. Will the Khan Drishti healing and the homemade naan khatis help to turn things around for me? When we arrive at Albert Einstein Elementary School, I look up at the American flag flying on top of the silver pole. I think about my own flag with its blue spinning wheel at the center. Each of the 24 spokes represents a virtue. Mrs. Aron had a list of them written on her wall, and she made us memorize them in order. I think about number 2 on the list, courage, number 13, righteousness, and number 14, justice. Be proud of who you are, I hear Parima's voice say in my head. Remember where you come from. I take a deep breath, straighten my back, and step off the bus. Bigfoot is standing near the door when I reach room 506. As I walk past him, I keep my eyes on his giant shoes. I will not allow him the pleasure of tripping me again. When I present Mrs. Beam with the cookies, she smiles. In fact, she beams. Ha! How sweet, she tells me. Emma's black tongue was right. Thanks to the naan khatis, I have won over Mrs. Beam. Even her eyebrows seem friendlier today. We'll begin our morning with silent reading, she tells the class. Following that, you'll go to the gym. Things are looking brighter for me already. Chapter 18 is Joe. When I was a little kid, if I fell down and skinned my knee, my mom would kiss it to make it better. I thought it was magic, but I'm not a little kid, and I don't believe in magic anymore. I decide to let my mom drive me to school, but we don't talk. At least I don't. Dad won't be getting in until late tonight, she tells me. You won't see him until tomorrow morning. I'm not in any hurry. Not that I don't miss my dad when he's on the road. I do. Sometimes we watch sports together and act like guys, burping and scratching and stuff. But it's been a while since we did that. Mom still hasn't said anything, but I'm positive I'm right about the reason he's coming home early. I know the drill. She's going to make us have a family meeting. I'll sit there and say nothing. My dad will tell me to man up. And when it's finally over, nothing will have changed. Mom will still be the lunch monitor. Dylan Samreen will still be giving me a hard time about it. And 5th grade will still suck as much as it did before. Hey, Pud, not Puddy, Dylan says as I walk into room 506. He's standing by the door like he's been waiting for me. Lucy Mulligan giggles, which pretty much guarantees that the dumb joke will be following me around for a while. The funny thing about Lucy is that she and I used to be friends. We went to the same nursery school when we were little, and sometimes after school we'd play together. She even had a sleepover at my house once when her mom and dad had to go out of town for a funeral. She wet the bed and cried. My mother put the dirty sheets in the washing machine, and Lucy made me promise I wouldn't tell anyone at school about it. I never did. Dylan is about to say something else, but then his dark eyes slide to the left, and there's that evil sparkle I know so well. I turn around to see what he's looking at. Ravi has just arrived with his green backpack and ironed blue jeans. For some reason, he's looking especially shrimpy today. His shoulders only come up to my belly button, which means I can actually look down and see the top of his head. He is wearing the whitest sneakers I've ever seen in my life, and he's holding a square metal box with flowers painted on it. What's in the box? Dylan asks him. Cookies, he said, for Mrs. Beam. I look at Ravi in his weird flat clothes, holding his flowery little box of cookies, and I wonder if he realizes he's a zebra. Boys and girls, please take your seats, Mrs. Beam calls from the front of the classroom. Ravi walks up to her and hands her the box. My mother has asked me to bring these to you, he says. They're Indian cookies. How sweet, Indian cookies? Ravi nods. Homemade, he says. When Ravi isn't looking, Dylan puts his finger down his throat and makes a gagging sound. Lucy Mulligan giggles. Sometimes I wish they'd just run off together and get married and put us all out of our misery. Please tell your mother thank you for the cookies, Ravi, says Mrs. Beam. I'll be sure to enjoy one tonight at home after dinner. Ravi turns and starts walking back to his desk. He looks happy, but I notice he's staring at my feet. He probably thinks I'm going to try to trip him. I wonder if he thinks I'm the one who swiped his mechanical pencils too. After she finishes taking the roll call, Mrs. Beam tells us to do silent reading until it's time to go to gym. I pull out my book and turn to the place where I left off reading last night. I've only got a few more chapters to go, and I want to know how the story turns out. Dylan asks if he can go get a drink of water. I can tell he's up to something. Sure enough, on the way back, he tosses a folded up piece of paper on my desk. I open it and there's a drawing with a bunch of people on it. Almost everyone is wearing a t-shirt that says "I'm with Stupid" on it, and under that an arrow pointing to the left. There were only 2 exceptions. One is a really tall boy wearing giant shoes that look like boats. "I'm stupid," it says on his shirt. Next to him is a woman in a striped apron holding a dirty diaper with a bunch of flies buzzing around it. Her shirt says, "I'm Stupid's mommy." Another day, off to another sucky start.